Hi, I'm Mrs. Allen, and I wanted to show you today just what an exploded isometric looks like. Now, before in the previous video, I blocked in the locations of each piece and spread them out by about 40 millimeters. The only piece that stayed in the same location generally were the inside piece, which wasn't seen on the original, but you could tell there was a plan that it was going to be in there. So this is the piece where the light sets, and then we've moved the lid slightly up. But generally the four pieces on the outside were blocked in for out. So here now you can see that I've added all the detail. It's taken some time, but it definitely helps clarify how this piece is going to be assembled. Alright, so I've got all four pieces. I haven't actually included the final design on each face or anything. That obviously will be up to you and what you want to put on each face. But this gives you an idea of like at least how to lay out an exploded isometric. Down the side, I would probably need to add some bubbles, like let's go 4 times side faces, just to indicate some labels, just to indicate what I've got. So you actually usually put a parts list with any kind of exploded isometric to say what are the parts that are included. So when people get a package with all the parts, they can go through and say, oh, I should have 4 of these pieces, and I should have one top face. So one top face and one base. Okay, so those are the pieces. So you can see there's 6 pieces there, and now they can use that, and it's usually put it in a separate little list, and this is just usually just a number, and that number references a parts list to the side. That is how you do it in a CAD package, but here I'm just trying to relate it more directly to each piece that I've created. Now what I need to do is I need to go over this and I need to clean it up with an outline, which I'll do. Now I've firmed in, I've gone over it with an outline. Now this is a 0.2. I don't suggest you go any thicker than that because it reduces the clarity of the line. So it's easy to make a mistake. Now a lot of all this design decisions I've made myself, but if you're copying someone else's design, it's easier to make a mistake because you won't always understand why certain lines are where they are. Look, mistakes are common, and of course it's harder to correct them if you're going over it in an outline. If you do, you can use whiteout, or whiteout tape is best, but if you plan on rendering after you've finished the exploded isometric, and it's perfectly acceptable to render anything that's in a 3D view, just not the 2D orthogonal views. You never render the 2D orthogonal. If you plan on rendering something, you don't want to render over the top of any whiteout or whiteout tape because it looks terrible. So my suggestion is you use the whiteout tape, you make this as beautiful and as great, as clear and correct as you can, and then you go and photocopy it. So you make a copy of the final drawing on a photocopier, or you can take a photo and try and print it out, but that usually makes it a little grey looking, not as white. You don't get the whites if you're taking photos, it tends to grey it up. But there's scan apps that actually do a fairly good job of making it like a black and white contrast. So you can reprint it, and I suggest you render that one, and that will avoid you rendering over the top of any whiteout tape or whiteout. You'll notice in my work in cleaning this up, I've slightly changed the look of my text. I've made it capitals, which is a little bit more official. It's a little bit more in line with standards, communication standards, graphic standards. And yeah, that's my finished piece. Of course, if I want to render it, that's another step. I haven't actually put any design on the faces, so you know, you might do that in pencil and then do that as well.